Welcome to M8-Bit.
Hello everyone and welcome to M8-Bit, the pop culture podcast that's 6-bit's game show and a 2-bit pile of trash. My name's Sam Riley and I'm joined, as always, by the absolutely debonair David Hall.
Hello.
By the fabulous Fareed Athman.
Good evening.
And the charismatic Philip Cairns.
Hello.
Right, so we've had some technical problems already today, so that means that our first new game has had to be scrapped, unfortunately. So we're going to have a quicker episode this time. So we're going to go straight into Hate Bit, Great Bit, and we're just going to get our gripes and our greats out of the way nice and early. Faz, what is your great bit of the week?
My great bit is Spider-Man Homecoming.
You've got a lot of convincing to do.
Why?
I'm Mr. Anti-Marvel, aren't I?
You know, why are you Mr. Anti-Marvel again? I can't remember.
Because they're all the same. Because they always shoehorn in extra characters. Who's in it? Who's the big star in it? Is it Iron Man by any chance?
The
Spider-Man movie.
That was exactly what I said to Faz earlier. Yeah, that's my worry.
But that's the only way that they've managed to tie it into the Marvel Universe as a whole. And it's not like...
Why do they need to do that?
It's not like in the Avengers, because that's what it is there, isn't it? They're producing this universe. It all needs to tie in.
It doesn't need to tie in.
It doesn't...
But it's not a cameo like the old ones, though. Yeah. It's really forcefully in there.
Well, I suppose it is kind of forceful.
I think he's in there because nobody knows who the kid actor is who plays Spider-Man.
But he's really good.
I've heard he's very good. I know he's...
It kind of doesn't matter if you don't know who he is if you watch it and appreciate how really good he is.
Let's face it,
they're thinking about
franchise.
money. They're thinking about money and they're thinking a lot of people perhaps won't go and see it if you don't know who the main guy is.
To be honest
stick
with
Robert
you,
Downey Jr. in it.
After watching it, I don't think it feels forced in any way. They tie Spider-Man in that Tony Stark finds him and basically scouts him and brings him into the Avengers as like a temporary character, I suppose. And then this film, I think it's set like a couple of months after, but it's set 8 years after first Avengers film. Yeah. So the idea is that Tony Stark has got this kind of like dad relationship with Spider-Man now because obviously he had Uncle Ben, but Uncle Ben died. And then he's got
Uncle Ben dies?
Uncle Ben?
The rice guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, massive spoilers now.
Massive spoilers.
What's he going to have for tea now?
But Uncle Ben, but that's probably one of the best things about the film is it's not an origin story. So Uncle Ben's like died ages ago. They don't even really mention him.
You've sold it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the first time that we've had a Spider-Man film that I would say is genuinely like a decent treatment of the comic book. The Sam Raimi one was okay by those standards of that time, but this is by far the best Marvel film since the first Avengers. It's really, really good.
You've said it's good.
And everything is spot on.
I was about to say, what is really good about it?
Yeah, the humour spot on, the tone is spot on.
Tony Stark, is he spot on?
He is spot on, yeah. Tone is spot on, yeah. That's what me and the lads call him down the pub. But everything about it, if you've read a Spider-Man comic, it fulfills everything that you'd expect from a Spider-Man film that the other films, in my opinion, didn't really even come close to. And the fact that it's set in like high school. Spider-Man's always been set in high school, but he's never really felt like a high school kid, whereas now, like...
Oh, yes, because they've got a British actor, haven't they? So he is actually probably the age that he's meant to be.
Yeah,
or similar. British kids look younger than
He's
Americans,
supposed to be 15 in the film. I don't think he's that
Wasn't
young.
Andrew Garfield British?
He is, yeah.
He is, but he's also 31 or something.
Yeah,
when he played Spider-Man.
Yeah. There was nothing convincing about the other Spider-Man. The
Spider-Mans. Fetch the Spider-Mans. They might have a little club whenever they meet up. Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and Tobey Maguire. The Spider-Mans. Welcome to the Spider-Mans room. So, one of the things that superhero films live and die on, and most often die on, is poor characterization or lack of time spent on the villain. So how is the villain in this? It's the Vulture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Michael Keaton. To be honest with you, I had my doubts because I think the Vulture in general is a pretty boring bad guy. But
Is he some kind of Birdman?
He is some kind of Birdman. Yeah, I thought it was funny. He's gone from Batman to Birdman to Vulture. It's like an evolution. He's just growing feathers.
Well, he's lived long enough to become the villain, you see. That's what happens.
But yeah, he's the way that they've treated it and the way that they've kind of tied his origin, like they've created a completely new origin for him and they've tied that into the original Avengers film. It's such an evolution and a departure from the, I guess, cheesy original villain. Yeah. They've definitely done the right thing with it.
Is there a bit where Spider-Man is using his body and a bunch of webs to prevent a train from falling off the end of something
The
while he
train bit.
gurns? Because that always happens in a Spider-Man film. And also, the other thing that always happens in a Spider-Man film is some person who doesn't know Spider-Man. He could be like a villain. He could be a terrorist as far as this person on the street knows. Is always like, go, Spidey! And I always hate it. It makes me cringe.
Yeah, that was in the... Wasn't that an Amazing Spider-Man 2? Or maybe it was 1 when he was like...
Lining
they
up
moved
the
all
cranes.
the cranes. Yeah, oh my god.
I'm going to help you, Spidey!
That was the worst thing.
That was a bit
there
Stanley-ish,
is-
that.
In Spider-Man 2, when he saves that train by sort of shooting all the webs on the
And
building.
gurning.
Yeah, that scene is completely ripped out, and it's a boat instead that gets cut in half, and he has to hold it together. But it feels a lot more genuine than the Tobey Maguire scene, so put your mind at ease.
Ah, fantastic.
Tobey Maguire's known for really bringing things to life, isn't he? So
That's why you got so much more work after Spider-Man.
Right, so Dave, what is your great bit of this week?
right, well, sorry, I hated on your great bit. I realised
Yeah,
once I've done
it
it.
felt like, oh, here's something that I really liked. Well, it's shit, and I've not watched it, but it's shit.
Yeah, I realised as soon as I started, that's, you're a bad person, Dave. So I'm going to apologise for that originally. Please don't hate on my bit. So yeah, I just want to have a couple of words about the Blue Dot Festival that I went to, which
That
is
was shit. I was
it
there as well.
you were there. You can
Nah,
give
it
it a
was
verdict.
shit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so it's a newish festival in the UK that's like a combination of like science and music. But it was just had some really like interesting things. Brian Cox couldn't make it this year, but last year he did quite a bit of work there. This year they had like Tony Walsh, the Manchester poet. They had the guys who were trying to reboot. What do you call them?
Super Mario Nation.
Yeah,
The guys who made Thunderbird,
yeah,
Stingray,
Thunderbirds, yeah.
big, sort
Captain
of big
Scarlet.
puppets, yeah.
So they had like the new models from that. I had a chat with those, and that seems really cool. So they've got like a new like police project that they want to work on.
He's going to be like Captain America.
I mentioned Captain America, and I was waiting for him to like hate
Do you
on
mean
it.
Team America?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Captain America.
Too much
Just
Marvel.
because we're talking about Marvel.
But yeah, he was laughing and saying like that's such a good thing. But he said as well that this police one will be a comedy as well. Like
Okay.
okay.
I was hoping it was going to be like The Wire, like really
Yeah.
super, overly gritty.
yeah, so
Fans.
it'll sort of like take the mickey out of itself as well. So
That's cool.
So yeah, that sounds quite interesting.
I don't think you could get away with puppets nowadays without making it somewhat funny. So that's
Yeah.
probably a good idea.
Yeah,
It's weird. The idea is weird to me. Like that they still want to do that. You know? when
Oh,
they-
it's a nostalgia thing.
yeah,
It'll get
yeah,
on,
definitely.
get on
Like
on that.
that's. I don't know. I just can't imagine it.
yeah. And interestingly, a little fact for you that I found out whilst I was there is that Brains from Thunderbirds, his head was so big. They
How
didn't
big
have-
was it?
It was big because
As
yeah, they
big
didn't
as
have
Sam's head.
they didn't have
Probably
the
not.
technology
Let's not
to
be
move his
silly.
eyes and that, so they had to just make his head bigger to make it actually like they could access it to make his head move properly.
Oh, interesting.
Whereas it changed on the
I wonder
later.
how they integrated that with other characters. Because interestingly, you never really saw Brains standing with other characters. He was always in his lab.
Well, that's it, yeah. What was he called? Alan, who'd clearly like, shagged somebody's wife and was just
Yeah.
in Thunderbird 5 all the time. The lost Tracy kid. So yeah, anyway, back to the festival. Yeah, it was just lots of art, lots of colour, lots of unusual sciencey bits to like.
So it was
give a
basically
little
like
mention.
a science fair plus a bit of music.
Yeah,
It was
basically.
more music than the science, I guess.
Yeah,
wasn't
well, it was sort of a split. I thought my only like downside to it was that I thought that the music, like you were paying like a premium for like a normal sort of sized festival, but really it's definitely in its infancy. So you're paying a little bit much for what you're getting currently.
Yeah.
I imagine its price probably won't change that much now for 10, 15 years. It'll just stick with the same as the other festivals, but it is currently a lot smaller than the others, and the bands that you're getting aren't quite as big. So
Yeah.
it seems a little expensive for what it is, but
Oh,
it's still very enjoyable.
I had only heard of the headliners, but you knew quite a few of the smaller bands as well, didn't you? So it was
Yeah.
definitely worth it for you.
yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I was going to stuff on my own a lot, but but yeah, I had fun. so screw the lot, yeah. So yeah, that's my little bit.
So how much did you pay for it?
I think it was around 150, 160,
For
which
3
is
days.
yeah, which again is similar to Kendall Calling sort of price, or like Leeds Festival. That's probably a little bit more. But for those festivals, you go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whereas this is only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so you lose a day as well.
Okay.
So
You camp over?
yeah, you do. Yeah.
No, okay.
So on the final night, which is the traditional dickheads burning down tents night, Is it
Yeah.
people with ray guns or something suitably science fictiony?
We left because we've got a little
To avoid
baby
the ray
and
guns.
we wanted a
Yeah.
bit of extra sleep in a normal bed. So we left late after the final band. But I would imagine it just ended with hot cocoa
And shaking people's
people,
hands.
People strumming guitars around a campfire.
It's very family
see.
friendly.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's the most family-friendly festival I've ever been to.
Set phases to stun kind
Yeah,
of festival.
I went to, like I say, I went to the rave area like at like 1 a.m, and there was 3 people there plus me eating a pie. it was calm.
A happy
calm.
rave, like
Yeah.
in Peep Show, the Christian rave.
Is there anything else interesting that happened in the rave tent?
Yeah, well, Faz was building his computer on his phone whilst everyone else was raving.
Yes.
It wouldn't be that bad,
gotta
except
get
he was
shit
right
done.
near the front as well.
I just wanted to fulfill that nerd stereotype. At a science-based festival, building a computer.
Yeah,
But not actually in front of people, not like for them to see. Just thinking about what components you'd like.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what do I get? A 6 gigabyte GPU or splash out on an 8 gigabyte?
the best bit was seeing other nerds poking each other, pointing at Faz, going, "Look at that nerd."
Brian Cox can be so cruel, when he's not on camera. Right, that sounds really good. I've never really heard about a science festival before, but I like the idea of it. It's kind of making it cool in the same way that Dara O'Brien has tried and failed many times to make science cool.
Yeah, it was very much along those lines.
I see. Well, it's still nice that they're trying.
Yeah, it was good.
Phil, what is your great bit of the week?
My great bit of the week is I was torn between 2 options, so I'm just going to do an honourable mention to the first one that I decided not to go with, which is Baby Driver, the new Edgar Wright film.
That's a really good film.
Such a good film. So my actual great bit of this week is a game that came out a few years ago now. I think it was 2015, called This War of Mine. Anyone played it or heard of it? Even?
Yeah,
No.
it was free on PSN a while ago, wasn't it? But I
Oh, was
downloaded
it?
it and deleted it promptly without playing it.
Oh man, you missed out. You really
Ironically,
missed out.
probably the only way to win in that game is not to play it.
No, you can definitely win in it. I got it on a really cheap. It was like £4 from the Steam sale, which gotta love them Steam sales.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I actually hadn't heard anything about it until I was just browsing the Steam sales and came across it. For those that don't know, it's a war survival game based on the siege of Sarajevo from the Bosnian War.
It's a side scroller, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a side scroller. Basically, the premise of it is that you have your shelter, and you look at it's like a big house, like a almost mansion type house, that's got loads of shell holes in it and just bullet marks everywhere. It's just completely run down, and you're looking at it from like a side view with like the end wall cut off. So a bit like Fallout Shelter, the mobile game, if you guys have played that. I was a bit worried it was going to be a bit like that at first, but it's totally not. And effectively what you do is obtain parts and other like weapons and stuff for your shelter by scavenging at night. And then you create you can create a stove and water collectors and like heaters and stuff like that. So it's basically all about just surviving the siege. The point of it was that they wanted to make a war game that wasn't like your Call of Duties, anything like that. It's always that first-person shooter. You always playing the good guy, always killing like the Nazis. They wanted to create something that was a bit more realistic in terms of like what people experience throughout war.
Yeah, like non-soldiers.
Yeah, basically. So it's pretty heart-wrenching at times. I've completed it twice because basically the way it works is you can choose different sets of survivors to complete it with. And I think I must have chosen 2 fairly easy groups to do it with because I haven't had to make that many difficult choices. But I know it can get pretty dark at times and that they suffer actual depression. And like if you don't do things to like try and make it better for them, keep them fed, keep them like occupied and happy. I've seen other people that have played it, their characters have committed suicide at various points.
Sounds like the worst add-on pack for The Sims ever. But
Yeah.
no, I've heard good things about it. But I'm surprised that you've said that you didn't have to face any kind of harrowing choices because I thought that was the whole point.
The couple that I've played so far, there's still some difficult choices to make. From the top of my head, it's things like going out at night to scavenge at various locations, like the airport, the supermarket, like a derelict house, and it gives you a little description from each one. One of them being, it's just called Quiet House, and it's just got an old couple living in it who happen to have a lot of stock, and it's pretty much untouched house. And the description says, unless you're planning on stealing from them, there's very little forwards there. So making them decisions about, if you're going to go, that you're kind of getting into, a grey area.
Mm-hmm.
But even some of the other ones, some of the derelict places, you'll find that a lot of homeless people have moved into it, and the only food in there is basically theirs. So there were times that, I got to a point that I'd run out of food in the shelter. The only location that I could get to was this one, and I just had to steal homeless people's food.
Yeah.
That was the choice that I had to make. And genuinely, actually, it's kind of unpleasant. It's really not, even though it's just a game and those people aren't real, it's not a pleasant thing to do. And then the characters, when you get back to the shelter in the morning, they react to it. You can look on their bios, and some of them say that we shouldn't have stolen those people's food. Others say it's either us or them. Others are more
in need. And
do you know what I mean? And some people, some of the characters that you play as don't care. They're, bordering on psychopaths.
Yeah.
But the other good thing that I like is the way that the save system works is you can't save at any point. It saves at the very start of the day, and then you've got to get through the whole day in the shelter and then the night time before it saves again. Which means if anything happens during the night time out scavenging, it's very easy to get shot and killed. That's it. Your character's dead.
Can you switch bodies into another survivor at that point?
No.
Oh, okay.
So you lose a character, and your characters react really badly to that, the surviving ones, because it really doesn't give you much time. If you really wanted to, you could press restart on your computer, of course.
Yeah.
But
that's not the point, though, is it?
No, that's not the point. And it automatically goes back to the start of the next day, and then it's saved, and then you can't get back. You can't go. There's only one save file. Always auto saves over it. So choices you make are really, really important. And I just think I've not played a game like it. I genuinely got a little bit addicted to it. I think in the first 4 or 5 days that I had it, Steam was showing that I played over 24 hours on it, which for me is crazy. I don't have that amount of time to play games usually. So the fact that I managed to clock up 24 hours in less than a week was pretty crazy, and just sort of testament to the fact that how in depth and how drawn into the game I was. It's really good. I'm planning on going back and playing a couple more of the scenarios, certainly with more difficult ones.
Well, there is the DLC as well, and there
was
was
DLC which is called The Little Ones, and that brings kids into it, which is I'm not even sure I want to download that one. That's pretty dark. So yeah, I've literally just started another save file on it, which is it's just one person. You're one survivor. And you've got
So you have to pick from the start how big the group is. You can't join groups or let them join you and things like that.
You've got to pick from the start. And what you'll find is if you're really unlucky, because it kind of randomly generates the world each time, you can pick the same characters, the same group of characters, but it'll always randomly regenerate the worlds. And sometimes it'll start you in the middle of winter, and God help you if you start in the middle of winter, because it's so fucking difficult. Because one of the first things you have to do is build heaters, and you just don't have enough parts to do it. Your characters are freezing for days, and being cold makes you unwell. It's just really well thought out game. One of my favourite things about it actually is that when you're out scavenging, if you look in a fridge, it will have food in the fridge, and if you look in a pile of rubbish, it won't have any food in it. And I know that seems like a really stupid thing to say, but after playing a lot of Fallout and Skyrim and Oblivion and stuff like that, I'm so fed up of finding wheels of cheese in a dungeon that's not been opened in 400 years. It's just nice to play a game where things are where you expect them to be. And it also adds a sense of realism, and if you're trying to sneak in and out of a place, it gives you a better idea of exactly where the things you need are going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely worth a play. I would give it at least 9 out of 10.
Oh, sounds really good. So this week I've been playing the Uncharted trilogy. A friend of mine lent it to me. But the reason that I want to bring it up is the fact that it inspired me to go and find a bit of literature, a bit of video footage about the history of Naughty Dog as a developer. Because I don't know about you guys, but I think they're probably the most consistent, probably the best developer going today. Whether you like their games or not, you have to admit that they've got some consistently great scores, and people tend to idolise what they've put out. Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, The Last of Us, and the Uncharted series. They've barely put a foot wrong. And, this documentary that I watched, it was fascinating, and it really showed to me The thing that's made them so successful is the fact that they have been able to maintain a very creative environment with no kind of oversight from Sony. An oversight, yes, but not a kind of a level of control from Sony that...
Yeah, no meddling in there.
Exactly. And it made me think of sports teams that have like directors of football or whatever sport. You will usually find the bigger the team, the more pressure there is to have someone between, say, the sports coach or the manager and the owner. Someone who makes big decisions, but usually doesn't have the day-to-day running of the team. And a lot of the times people complain about this and say it takes the control and the destiny of the team out of the hands of the manager. And a lot of fans, like myself, don't really see a need for it, and they think it's probably a bad thing. And that kind of meddling goes on a lot in gaming as well. You will get this kind of disconnect between the creative types and the business people. Sometimes you need them to, crack the whip and say, listen, that's a great idea, but this game needs to be made right now for this date, because then you're out of money. That seems like a bad thing, but it's a necessary evil. It makes sure that we actually get these games at all. So the thing about Naughty Dog that I was struck by in this series of interviews in this documentary was the fact that from almost the very beginning, they have done things very well, and they've been rewarded for how well they've done it by Sony. And Shuhei Yoshida, who is, I believe he's still the Sony president, or the Sony Computer Entertainment president in Japan, he has allowed them to have this kind of creativity where they don't have these producers on site with them, liaising between Sony and with the creative directors. They're just allowed that kind of freedom to do what they do and do it well without people constantly penny pinching or giving them oversight. And I think that's really great. And as I say, I would recommend this documentary to anyone, because it really shows how it's not just that, this team fought through all these hardships and made it happen. It's the team did all that. They went through all the hardships, but they had this kind of a system in place that allowed them to succeed. What it made me think of is I wish there was a little bit more literature, a little bit more video footage of the making of games and histories of studios and things like that. And I'm hoping in the next 20 years, you'll start to see these kind of things, because I would love to sit down and if I want to read the history of 20th Century Fox, I can probably find it. If I want to read the history of Marvel Comics, I can find it. If I want to read the history of Naughty Dog, I can't find it. There are some publishers that will do these kind of books about individual games and whatnot, but it doesn't go far enough just yet. And as I say, I love the documentary. I would love to see more of those kind of things. I also watched the making of Uncharted 4, really well done. So it's just something hopefully we can look forward to more in the future. And as I say, definitely recommend it and check it out on YouTube if you can find it.
Cool, give that a watch. I like the companies that are just giving a bit more creative freedom like that. I think we talked about that previously in episodes about like Netflix and Louis CK and stuff, and it's just a model that works so well, and I just don't understand why more places don't do it.
It's the reason why Hideo Kojima, it's not the reason, but it's part of the reason that he's now gone off and set up his own company so that he can have that creative freedom that Konami wasn't really letting him have.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was reading recently about, I was very interested, all of a sudden I just thought to myself, well, why isn't there a Japanese indie scene that's, as big as the Western indie scenes? And I did a bit of digging into it, and it seems that the situation is changing. The corporate structure in Japan is such that there isn't a great deal of momentum at any one time, and things are done in a very old-fashioned way. Yeah. So Kojima, is kind of changing things a little bit, and a few other creators are now getting to the point where they have the notoriety, as it were, to go and form their own studios, essentially become indie developers, but with a lot of great experience behind them. So we could start to see this boom of indie Japanese experiences coming over to the West, because a lot of the times there are these indie games in Japan, but they're just not as well funded, and they are not given the chance to do well abroad. So we'll go on now to my hate bit of the week. So mine is basically going to be about people who insist on fixed genre tags. For me, genre has always been something that is a useful signpost. It's great to be able to go, here are my favourite horror films, and here are my favourite action films, or games, or whatever. But when people start to nitpick, I just say, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be useful. Once you start getting really elitist about it, and it happens in the heavy metal world, it happens in gaming, it happens in a lot of kind of walks of life. But for me, ultimately, it's kind of just a silly debate. And I think that if you want to say that this game is a hack and slash, Some people go, hack and slash is is like top down, it's Diablo. Other people say it's a 3D character action game like Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Just chill out, just enjoy the games you want to play, and just, use it as a helpful signpost. For me, I'm a person who, I'm not a huge social media guy because I don't like being limited in the amount of characters that I can, put into a message. So for me, I would always say, like, here's the genre, plus here's a game it's like and a game it's not. I want to, be able to give you a couple of signposts and then add to that. So
you're basically a genre hippie, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fine for genres to be a bit broad, like especially in terms of if you think of it on somewhere like Steam, filtering by genre. I don't want to see 70 of basically the same game. I'd much rather choose the horror genre and see lots of slightly different
games
things
within that genre.
Otherwise, how do you ever find different and new games just by chance?
Yeah, like you say with Steam, give me a breadth of things. Give me something that's half thriller, half horror, as well as just horror.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that? Any disagreements?
No, I wasn't going to disagree. I was just going to say, I find that in movies it happens quite a lot. Whenever conversations come up about particular genres and people say what's your favourite horror, I quite often say The Wicker Man. And a lot of people say that's not horror, but it is. It's just not.
It's just not
the stereotype of what everybody thinks a horror has to be these days.
It reminds me of Drag Me to Hell by Sam Raimi. Everyone said that wasn't a horror because it was funny, but it's still a horror. It's just got comedy elements, always. It's got a comedy focus, and the same with Get Out as well. People said that wasn't a horror; it was more of a thriller. But just because it doesn't have straight out blood and guts horror elements to it, doesn't mean that it's not a horror at heart. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Shaun of the Dead's a horror. It's more comedy than horror, but it's still horror.
Yeah, exactly.
Most likely.
I mean, ultimately, you limit yourself when you try to limit others using language, because you grow up being in the mindset of saying, that's not a real word, or that word is being used incorrectly. You shouldn't use that word like that. But ultimately, if enough people get the meaning of a word wrong, and it passes into normal usage, then that becomes the meaning. So language is fluid, genre is fluid, and I think people just need to chill out about the whole thing.
I think Wayne Campbell from Wayne's World said it best when he said, if you label me, you negate me.
Wow. Okay, that's my hate bit. Dave doesn't have one, but Faz, what is yours?
My hate bit is the free games you get with your subscriptions. I just think are absolutely dog poop. I haven't played one of the free games that I've had in the last maybe 5 to 6 months. Apart from Darksiders 2.
I can
which
go
I'm sure
against
Sam
you
was just
there.
about to mention.
It was Darksiders 1.
Oh, sorry, that was the one.
There's a few examples that I can think of on the PlayStation Store one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I was going to say Broforce, the NBA game was on there.
Yeah.
Rocket League was on there as well.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I missed it as well, unfortunately.
They've just done Until Dawn, and last month, I think it was, they did Life is Strange. So PS4, I think, are definitely stepping up, but Xbox need to catch up pretty quickly because
you say that, but I think Xbox maybe last month wasn't so great, and maybe the month before that as well. But I noticed that there was maybe a string of about 4 months where I really enjoyed some stuff that I didn't necessarily think was going to be that good. Gianna Sisters was one of the games 1 month. Thought it was going to be crap. Didn't have great reviews to begin with. This was the director's cut. They sorted everything out. It was a really fun game. If you like something like Rayman Legends, give that one a go. That's the kind of thing that I think you look at and you go, oh, are they really giving us this? And you try it, and it's great. Like Rise, you get that for free. That's a great game. You pay 45 quid for that. That's a real waste.
I think the caliber of game that you're getting on PlayStation, like Until Dawn, is not perhaps a AAA game, but it's getting there. But I don't think that I've had anything on Xbox so far that's anywhere near that in caliber.
Well, don't forget that Xbox has very few exclusives left at the moment, and they've probably gone through most of the ones that they would care to part with. They can't really give you a Gears 4. They can't really give you a Halo 5 because they're the only kind of big names that they have left at the moment.
Yeah, and I guess
as sad as it is to say, because I
they?
like Xbox. But what they have been doing that PlayStation hasn't is been giving really good backwards compatible 360 games.
Yeah, I was going to say the only ones that I have thought, oh, that looks decent, is the 360 option that you get. Obviously, Darksiders was one of those. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but whenever I've gone to download my free stuff, they've pretty much been the only ones that I've been interested in anyway.
But yeah, I take your point. Both sides have kind of been letting themselves down in the last year, especially. But even so, there's gems to be found there. I just wish that they would probably dip into a few more indie titles and a few backwards compatible titles and a few big titles that are maybe 2 years old.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it would be nice to see something like an Infamous Second Son. You know, that's the kind of game that a lot of people slept on. But if you were to make that free, a lot of people would say, that's great. Give me Last Light now. I'll pay for Last Light.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get people wanting to buy
into
more.
the franchise,
Like Darksiders 1, when that went free, I ended up buying the box set because, of both of them because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
So they made a sale out of that.
I think
That's
the
how they made
reason
their money.
why it's sort of at the forefront of my mind at the moment is because the PlayStation offering is outshining the Xbox One so much or at least in my opinion, that's why I think it's a burning issue.
Fair enough. Is there anything you would be dying to see on Xbox, though, that you haven't already experienced? Because, I've blown through most of the good Xbox exclusives at this point.
To be honest, no.
Well, that's the end of that chapter, then.
Mainly because I don't think my knowledge of the Xbox catalogue is broad enough for me to be able to say, yeah, that would be a really good one.
Okay, Phil, what is your hate bit of the week?
My hate bit of the week is fucking compatibility issues. Oh my god. I'm fed up of compatibility issues with Steam. It's 2017. Why are these issues not resolved? I should just be able to download a game, install it and play it. I tried to download and play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines a week or so ago. I bought that so long ago in a Steam sale and never played it. And it just wouldn't work. I just could not get it to work because it's an old game now, so it's not really supposed to be played on Windows 7 or whatever else that most people are running these days. I tried making it compatible with Windows XP, all the different ones, just couldn't get it to work. I was talking to one of my mates, apparently I need to download some sort of fan-made content that'll fix it. But that's just a faff. I shouldn't need to do that. I should just be able to play the game. I don't understand.
I bought that game as well on a Steam sale a long time ago, and I had to faff about doing the exact same thing just to get it to run, and even then, it was like a frame rate issue.
Yeah, exactly. But I've had issues with BioShock as well, Company of Heroes. Also, I downloaded Shadow of Mordor in the recent Steam sale. Was really looking forward to playing it. I tried to play it, and it was telling me that I couldn't because my graphics card, even though it's still pretty good, if not a bit old, it's not compatible with DirectX 11. I can only go up to DirectX 10. So can't play that either. So, I only paid £4 for it, so not the end of the world. But,
No.
It's 2017. Why can't Steam deal with my massive first world problems?
I'm glad you said first world problems after that.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like I say, there's probably some actual technical reason that it can't be done, but don't care. I just want to play Vampire the Masquerade.
I think that's probably the big thing when it comes to why people choose consoles, the plug and play. All right, so we're going to move on to a new segment now. And we're going to have 2 new segments this week, but unfortunately technical problems robbed us of the first one. But you'll probably be able to hear that next time. This one, however, it's called Pitchapalooza. And that involves, basically, we take a game that hopefully some of these guys haven't heard of, and we'll just tell them the name, and they have to pitch to everyone else very quickly what they think this game is based on the name alone. So I will just pick one of the recent E3 games. Tell me if you've seen what it is, and then we'll swap you onto a different one. So, Phil, you've got a minute.
Yeah.
Pitch me the game Anthem.
Anthem? Oh, I don't even know what this is, so...
Well, that's good. That's good. You're not supposed to know.
Good. Alright, so Anthem, basically, it's like Rock Band. You get all, the guitar and drums and everything, but it's set in 1970s Soviet bloc era, and you have to come up with their new national anthem.
Soviet Bloc Band.
Yeah, Block Band. Anthem Block Band, that's what it's called. You have to come up with a national anthem for them, and it's got to be grand, and if you don't, you get shot or sent to a gulag. Basically, in Rock Band where you fail and it says, oh, do you want to retry that? It's just oh, you failed. Now you're being sent to a gulag, and then maybe someone actually comes to your actual house.
Is it like that episode of Rick and Morty with the big heads? I like what you got.
Show me what you got.
Yeah, then basically at the end, you have to then play it for Stalin. And if he doesn't like it, I don't know. You just
have to lump it, won't
you? Yeah,
you?
you just
Right, that's your minute.
Okay,
That's
great.
your
That
minute.
was more
Now-
difficult than I imagined.
Now, would anyone buy that game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would buy that.
For
Yeah.
easy, especially if it was
That
in the
was
Steam
really
sale
good.
for
It
£4.
sounds like, I know you said this, but it kind of sounds like This War of Mine meets Rock Band. So, Dave, I'm going to get you to pitch to me and to everyone else the game Ruiner. And
Ooh. So, Ruiner it's very similar to The Sims. You've got basically a really happy sort of Pleasantville, go back to Tobey Maguire reference there, sort of lifestyle. Everybody's life's going really well, and you've just got to go in there like Billy Bob Thornton in Fargo. You just gotta fuck shit up. You know, you're gonna be
sort of
you're
like
gonna,
Postal.
yeah, you're just gonna like little things to begin with. You know, you'll just like drive your car on the grass in front of the house, or you just put some muddy footsteps like by the doorway.
Sort of passive-aggressive to begin with.
Yeah, you're going to be, you know, like just cutting out an article out of their newspaper before it goes through the letterbox.
Like cutting out all the coupons.
My life's ruined.
And changing numbers on the houses and on letters so everything goes a bit wrong, like, and then getting more and more serious, like you're taking a shit and you're throwing it at people in the face. You just got to really ruin these perfect people's lives. Obviously, at the beginning, like, it won't take much to like really upset them, and then eventually, yeah, you'll just become an absolute menace to society.
Or even a ruiner.
Exactly.
I thought the game was you played as David Hall, and during Faz's great bit, you start just laying into him really unnecessarily.
Did it in your hate bit as well, I think. Completely disagreed.
Well, at least you're consistent. Right, I really like that. Again, we're not going to be able to score this on did they do a good job, because so far it's been going really well.
You should just be the judge.
I would definitely play that game. To be honest, as soon as you said The Sims, that's what was in my head, that like the reverse Sims. But what you then went on with was loads better than what.
Well, you say the reverse Sims, but let's face it, once you've got a few hours into The Sims, every game of Sims becomes Ruiner.
Yeah.
You know, you're just trying to kill everyone, essentially. Right, so Faz, tell me if you've heard this one, but pitch to me and to everyone else right now the game Frostpunk.
Okay, so it's similar to Mad Max, similar vein, but instead of a desert, it's actually in the North Pole. So everyone's driving around on massive sleds, like Father Christmas themed sleds, but everyone basically looks-wise dresses like punks. So everyone has mohawks, wearing ripped denim and like checkered trousers.
They've got to be very cold, I would imagine.
They are, and I think that's the main reason why they're angry. So everyone's just, you know, engaging in huge battles in the snow in these vehicular weaponry with their main sort of boss, I suppose, is Father Christmas. So and the punks are actually is a merry band of elves who scream "Witness me" in shiny Christmas lights before committing suicide in acts of valour.
Wow, that was very good. I think we can all agree that was well done as well. Do you guys have any suggestions for a game for me to do?
I know. I reckon you don't know this game. It's an old game. The game is Balls. Do you know the game?
No, I do not know the game.
Right, okay.
All
I'd
right,
like
so
to see how different this is to
my
the original.
ad hoc. All right, so we will start off on the minute, and my game to pitch to you boys is Balls. Right, Labour MP Ed Balls. Right, what's he doing these days?
Sold. I would play this game.
Exactly. What's he doing though? What's he been up to? I'll tell you what he's been up to. He's been working on a machine that is a bit like The Fly, with him as the Jeff Goldblum character, and he's trying to create, I don't know, crops, endless crops, or some sort of a device which will create infinite energy. But guess what? In the other machine has gone his child's little ball. And so Ed Balls has gone into one machine, and the other and this plastic ball has gone in the other. He's turned on the machine by accident, probably while cleaning it or something like that. Or maybe Diane Abbott snuck in and was like, "See ya." And guess what? He's now part ball. But you can hope to undo it by going on this merry adventure, and I say merry because it's going to be very much like a Mario or a Crash Bandicoot, where you play as Ed Balls, and you have to. There's a bit of an RPG element. You have to try and get people on side with your sort of new lifestyle and your new look, and so we're basically talking about a platformer with light RPG elements, with also kind of a political slant.
You said you'd not played it before.
Well, I lied. Right, so we shall now pick, out of all of those great efforts, who we all thought was the best. So, Phil, what was your favourite pitch? Which was the game that you would
Balls.
absolutely buy?
Ed Balls.
The Ed Balls game.
Yeah.
Balls
100%.
starring Ed Balls.
Like, genuinely, I really, really want to play that game.
You know, you're only a mod away. So, you know, Cooler World, get it somehow onto PC and mod the hell out of it. Then add some very extensive RPG elements. Right, Dave, what are you
I'm going to
thinking?
go with Phil's, just because I think I'd buy the game, but when you said crops, for some reason, that proper tickled me. So he's
trying to create crops. That's what he's doing.
And opening with Ed Balls, I just didn't see it coming somehow.
Well, there you go. And then, Faz, what are you going for?
I was going to go with Ruiner.
Ruiner, okay. Oh, so is it up to me?
Yeah, Sam's the decider.
Unless I go for Faz.
Yeah, in which case...
Everybody's a winner.
You know what? Because it's the first time I'm going to go with Faz. Make it all a draw. Because everyone did well this time. Because it's a new segment. None of you really knew about it. And I think we all did quite well. So we're now going to go on to our fourth and final? I think it's our fourth and final segment. Doesn't matter. It's the last one of the day. And it is our traditional closer. It is Pun Up. And this week's theme is brought to you by the mind of Phil Cairns. And it's weddings. You got weddings on the mind? Is there something your girlfriend should know?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. There goes another magical moment on radio. Okay, so we will start off with myself this time. And I'm going to start with this one because I feel like everyone else has got it and you're probably saving it for your last best one. So I'm going to ruin it for you by going with Maidal of Honor.
Oh, yes.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
I thought this will be a few people will be doing this.
I had that one as well.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Yeah,
That was one of my best ones.
There you go. So as I feel quite bad for Phil, you can go second.
Oh.
All right, okay. I'm going to go with Super Married Bros.
Just how married are they? Excessively.
incestuous.
Excessively married.
I'm going to go with Bachelor Lord of the Rings, The Shadow of Mordor.
Okay, mine's kind of like it's 2 in 1. So you got Tony Hawk's. I feel like I have to do a Tony Hawk's one every time. Tony Hawk's Proposal, followed by the slight flop Tony Hawk's Bride.
I see. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that marriage wouldn't last. It would break down quite literally.
Yeah, or just not work out of the box.
I think the answer to this is it was sketchy, that.
Okay, so my second one is going to be Nokia engagement ring. You like that?
Oh my god.
It's filthy.
That's so good, but so terrible.
Thank you.
I mean,
Well,
like,
that's the point.
Thinking about using the Nokia N-Gage as part of the pun, like, I forgot that even existed.
Well,
I used to have
now
one of
you remember.
those. It was my best friend throughout
Well,
high
then you
school.
wasted a significant portion of your money as a child. All right, Phil, what have you got for us?
So it's a game that I've used a couple of times before, I think. I've got GoldenEye Do.
Dave, what have you got for us?
I'm going to go with Marriage of Empires.
That might be a slight mispronunciation there.
That's how I always say marriage.
Marriage. Let's get married-aged. All right, Faz, can you do better?
Resident Evil.
That's basically my one from last week.
Yeah. That's why I was looking at you intently in the eyes as I was saying it.
All right, back to me. Quite a simple one this time. It's a horror game. It's Groom 3.
Yeah, I was going to do that.
I
but-
had Groom as well, just Groom.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was thinking though, would this be, would you play as the groom, just killing loads of just horrendous brides?
Bridezillas,
like, to find,
yeah.
like the right one, or would you play as the bride, just killing loads of like even more horrendous men to try and find a nice one?
It could be
that
like-
seems like it'd be more realistic.
Speaking of The Bachelor, it could be like the TV show The Bachelor, except with mass murder.
So sticking with the theme of groom, I've got Groom Raider.
That's
good.
I
Nice.
like
Good.
it. And that is
Look at
a desperate spinster, just basically looking for any old man.
Yeah, and then marries just a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Ah, yes. That old chestnut. Right, Dave, what have you got?
I'm not sure any of you actually will have played this game, but it's an old PC game. Black and White Wedding.
Oh, I remember black and white.
Black and white,
Yeah, and
okay.
of course Billy Idol would be on the front cover.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a free
About all.
CD. Well, he'd probably give it to you at this point in time, wouldn't he?
Please, for God's sake, take this CD.
My next one is First Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh my god, I had that one as well. Have you just been looking at mine?
No, I did these last night when I was in bed.
I imagine some couples, like nerdy couples, have done that as their first dance.
Probably,
Like they'll get
yeah.
some Dance Dance Revolution machines rolled onto the floor and do that. Although, if you didn't have the machines, you'd look like someone electrifying John Wayne with your legs set really far apart, jumping up and down. Okay, my fourth one is going to be Castlevania Symphony of the Hen Night. I don't know what that would entail.
Was that just simply the night, but you shoved hen in them?
Yeah. What else do you need? Right, Phil, back to you.
All right, so this one, I was just trying to get the word wed in place of things like dead. So and then I realised you could change it for pretty much every syllable in this game. So I've just got wed redemption.
Wow.
It sounds like Jonathan Ross is saying it.
Dave, what have you got?
Okay, so I actually went for a joke within all the jokes because my Black and White Wedding is an old game. The Shadow of Mordor was a new game. Maidal of Honor is borrowed from Sam. Mm-hmm. So my blue one is Echo, the Brides of Time.
Wow, you've really gone to like next level in your wedding.
That was a meta pun, that.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was amazing.
I think you may have won just there. Right, Faz, what do you got?
Wedding Crash Bandicoot.
He's put Crash Bandicoot in again. The 6th week in a row.
Just shows how versatile the Crash
A
Bandicoot name
Swiss
is.
Army knife, isn't it?
whole
What would you
franchise.
call it? A Crash Army knife.
A crashy crash, as far as we call it. Now, we usually do 4. We've started doing 4. I have a 5th one that I didn't use because I was certain everyone else would have it. And that was Mario Bachelor Party 8.
Ah.
Anyone else got any more?
Yes. Do you want me to just list them off?
Yep, go for it.
Okay, so what didn't I? Oh, I Doodle God, Half Wife,
Half wife.
Left for Wed 2, Bomber Best Man, House of the Wed. And then when I was doing these, I was coming up with them and obviously laughing to myself because they are hilarious. And my girlfriend Amy wanted to know what I was doing and started joining in. So I promised her I would give her a shout out and do 3 that she came up with. So these 3 aren't mine.
As long as we know this isn't counting to Phil's record.
Yeah, these aren't mine. So we've got Chime Crisis.
Chime,
As in chime
Wedding
bells,
chimes.
chimes.
Oh, I see.
We've got Stag Knights of the Old Republic.
I like that. I like that.
And then, oh man, this one's so bad. Okay, it's Bio-a-Rock instead of Bioshock.
What? A rock?
Buy her a rock.
rock.
Oh, right.
I
Jeez.
can't get that one to fit into Bioshock that well.
I'm sure-
I still
Shame,
thought.
Amy.
I mean, it was probably the best one she gave me, though.
No, pretty good.
I'm sure there's an accent that would make it sound right. I just can't think of what it would be.
Okay, Faz, moving on to you.
I've only got 2 really shitty ones left.
All right, send us out on a good one.
The horrendous Sonic sequel, Sonic Groom. And
Well, that kind of goes without saying for most of them that it's a horrendous sequel.
yeah, that's true. That's true. You don't really need to say that, do you? And Sunset Over Bride.
That's nice. That could be like, and now we sort of go off into the sunset of the episode. So thank you for listening, as always. I've been Sam Riley. These lot have been Dave Hall, Phil Cairns, Fareed Athman.
Hello, I mean bye.
Say hello, and now say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
If you're blowing here, David, I'll finger you.